When last we left our intrepid adventurers, they were staring down a colossal diamond golem which was standing there completely motionless, hovering in the air, staring implacably at them.
I don't think implacably is a word.
Implacable is a word. Implacable. He stares at you emancipatorially. Is it better?
I don't think that's a word either.
He stares at you with great fecundity.
He stares at you.
I'm gonna go with implacably. What are you doing?
Am I awake yet?
Everyone's awake. You woke up last time. You all have everything. Suspiciously so, actually. I made a point of this last time.
Yes. Well,
Ricard immediately pokes up and says, "You realize I can't actually help you fight that if you choose to."
well, I don't think if we're going to fight this, we're going to choose to. It's just going to be.
Okay, fair point. Fair point. If it chooses to fight you, I will make sure your bodies get to your respective families.
How do you know it's not going to kill you too?
He casts
He's going to be
slow
smart
20
enough to
on
run
you.
away.
Haste 20 on himself, and he starts running around the room really quick to make his point.
This is the whole. I just have to run faster than the other person, not the bear.
He quickly cancels the spell. Cancels the spell.
To understand.
Exactly. Now, I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware. I'm sorry, milady, fear and zeal. Oh, by the way, roll deception.
I rolled a 19.
He
My
is
deception
lying when he says he will make sure that your bodies get back to your families. It's a good lie. You beat him by 1, so it's pretty close.
Yeah, he's going to run away and not care.
He's number one.
So Z's been having a habit of talking to herself this whole time. At this point, rather than saying anything to herself, she just kind of turns around and starts sifting through her bag.
Oh, God. Please don't genocide the lycanthropes.
Genocide?
You have a wand of genocide.
I
I've got
don't
that.
have the wand of genocide.
So I point out this. I'll make sure your body.
Hey, would that work on the things that I'm not supposed to know about yet?
No.
Oh.
It also doesn't do what you think it does. To add to that.
All right. Well,
I'm actually going to start.
I can go up and knock.
What form am I in? I'm an adult female form, aren't I?
Mm-hmm. Last I checked, at least.
Well, I'm not anymore. I'm in young male form. I just flipped the switch. And I'm going to change clothes.
Ricard and Fearness will immediately rush over and form a human wall with their backs turned to you, giving you all the privacy you need.
I turned my back to the rest of the room.
I'm
Yes.
not. I'm watching the golem. There's more important stuff to watch right now. Like not getting smashed by a golem.
Yeah.
So don't worry. There doesn't appear to be anything else in the room along with it, does there? Just from where we can tell.
I'm sorry. Can I have you ask that again in just a second? Gary's having an issue. He's having another vertigo attack, and
Okay.
making sure he's getting to the...
I'm also going to pull out my belt of knowledges.
Okay. You pull out your belt of knowledges. It is not in your hand.
I'm putting it on for a short time frame in order to knowledge engineering on the golem.
Now here's how this works. The automatic success is an automatic success. You lose one charge, obviously. Mm-hmm. But for something like that, I'm not going to tell you every intricate detail about how a diamond golem functions. You have to tell me what you want to know, at least generally.
I want to know 2 things. Who is capable of building it?
Okay. And second thing?
Exactly how much more it takes to build a gemstone golem than the golems that I know to be in existence that aren't natural.
All right. Now, due to the nature of that, that's going to require 2 charges, if you
Okay.
want to go ahead and do that.
That's fine.
All right. Hang on. The first resultant is you are reasonably certain that based on your knowledge, everything you've encountered, there are 3 major things that are required to construct a golem of what is generally known as significant capacity, aka the so-called feral golems from the Dyers. Number 1, a significant amount of the material in question. In this case, they would actually need this giant chunk of diamond. I'm not sure where they would get a large chunk of diamond, but that's what they would need. Point 2, they would require the actual elemental weaving and engineering know-how, all 3, because a golem is effectively a magic technological device. And it would have to be know-how of incredible significance because I'm not going to give you the full lore reason, but basically it is much more difficult to imbue any certain materials based on the material, and something above, I believe, granite is the most that the civilized nations have ever managed, is just infeasible. I mean, they know the theory of how to do it, but they can't actually make it happen. Make sense? Diamond, ergo, would be so far up there that you're not even 100% sure the Scions could have pulled this off, because that brings us to point 3. One individual couldn't do this. It would take significant amounts of individuals pouring constant energy and effort into this while it's being designed, while it's being engineered, while it's being hammered and worked and all that fun stuff. This is basically the equivalent of building a airplane in real life in a factory, except the whole time it's being constructed on, every single piece of the airplane is constantly being cast at by mages, by weavers. In fact, actually, it's very similar to how airships are constructed, all things considered. The difference between this and airships, though, and I'll go ahead and give you this for free. Airships is literally enchanting every bolt, every chunk of metal, every wooden beam. Every piece of the airship is individually woven to work together, right? And then the core engine actually makes it all possible. A golem is restructuring how this chunk of material works and then giving it sentience of a sort. It is debatable as to whether or not a golem is alive. People have actually theorized this for many years as to whether or not golems count as living beings. Legally, they do not, but they are, without question, sentient. So, in other words, the difference here is instead of all these pieces together and then they work together, I'm just going to weave this giant chunk of diamond, and now this diamond can restructure itself at will. Now, it's always going to be diamond, but it's effectively liquid diamond from now on, if that makes any sense at all. Or air diamond might actually be a better analogy there. Second answer. So, in other words, basically, you're pretty sure that the Scions could, theoretically, especially at the height of their power, make a diamond golem. You've never heard of a diamond golem. But that brings us to our second question. Based on your understanding, a diamond golem would be more difficult to make than the other gemstone diamond golems you've already encountered. By a couple magnitudes.
Okay.
Oh, to repeat the question, I was
I
looking
would
around
say
the room
just
to
turn
see
around and
if...
run away, but
So Guido turns to run. Z takes a deep breath and moves forward.
Well, before I move forward, I want to see if there's anything that we're looking for or should be going towards in this room aside from the golem.
Well, you are aware of the fact that the way behind you has been shut. You've been aware of that for some time.
Yes.
There's still the 2 doors to the sides that are still there, and the dimensional door which leads into the blank space where the 4 statues are. That's it.
Okay. But there's nothing in the room that it is actually in?
Correct. For all intents and purposes, you're in the same room now, as I tried to describe last time.
Yes. Oh, the section, I guess. Okay.
Z's actively walking toward the room.
Hang on a second. Wait. Wait. Why don't you let someone else go first, just in case? It could be a trap.
Z's not really listening.
No, Z. Says Fear to Seal.
Okay. I'll follow just in case she has seen something like before that we don't, and she hasn't said anything about it.
Nope,
Okay.
she's not seeing anything. She looks very scared. Her eyes are about this big around, and she's very stiffly just walking toward the thing.
Fear to Seal.
And periodically she'll pause and she'll go,
Hang on. Fear to Seal is going to mind link with you. What is she getting, like, emotionally at the moment?
ah. Oh shit, 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 oh shit.
Okay. Fear to Seal is like, Z, come back. It's okay. It's
Oh,
probably
shit,
not
oh,
going
shit,
to...
oh,
It could have
shit,
killed
oh,
us.
shit,
It could have
oh,
killed
shit,
us
oh, shit,
already.
oh, shit, oh,
There's
shit,
no
oh,
reason
shit,
to
oh,
be
shit, oh,
afraid.
shit, oh,
There's
shit.
no reason to be afraid. It could have killed us already. Just
And then
come
she just
back.
turns around and she looks at Fear to Seal and she goes, if we're right and this thing is going to kill us like the other ones, it's going to kill us! And I'm tired of waiting! And then she turns around and starts walking forward again. And the
Well-
mind link resumes with, oh shit, oh shit,
No,
oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit.
Oh my god. Okay.
That's some crazy logic if I ever heard some.
Well, what are the rest of you guys
Hey.
doing? Fear to Seal rushes up to be with Z.
Okay. I'm going to not follow, but at least keep in line.
Alright.
And I believe I marked the golem last time, correct?
Yes, you did. You had plenty of time.
All
to do
right.
so.
So I'm going to utilize ready and waiting, which means I can ready an action against it even outside the initiative sequence.
Excellent. Now, I want everyone to
So,
position themselves as if you can be anywhere on the map. However, you cannot be closer than 20 feet to the golem.
Okay.
Each square is 5.
Yep. The idea here is as soon as anybody comes within 20 feet, your movement stops. So I'm letting yourself position yourself before things happen.
I want to be, how far away is 30 feet? I don't remember. 5,
6 squares. 6 squares.
15, 20, 25, 30. Wait,
Rakarg, by the
What's
way,
my casting thingy?
is right here. Your what?
My casting way. How far away can I cast from?
Effectively line of sight. Basically 100 feet. Or is it 40 for black mages? It might actually be 40 for black mages.
But
That's how far.
Bless you. Okay.
what?
Z backs up to the dimensional door. By the way, if you go any further back, you go into the dark space because it both sides activate it. That's not actually a wall.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you could be
But,
like, oh no! And then you're in the abyss.
Take a deep breath. Continue.
No, continuing. No continuing.
Um,
Yeah, let's make sure this is clear that this is the abyss
but
here.
I'd just ready an action against it, sword in hand. If it
Actually, Z
starts
did that
doing
like
any
away.
offensive things,
Alright.
rushing at it, especially if it starts going towards any of the backline people. I want to get it in its way.
Gotcha. So, the moment Snarg, I guess Guido, whatever, one of you gets close enough first. The golem immediately shifts to life, and everyone does a fortitude roll, which you've already done.
Nice.
And let's see, looks like both Furnaceal and Z fail. So what happens here is what the
goes,
diamond. No, stop. The diamond of that is around the central mass of the golem shifts apart with this horrible grating sound, which is the third worst sound you've ever heard in your life, as the diamond scrapes against itself. And Z and Furnaceal are both just like, oh my god, and can barely actually focus straight with how loud and how horrifying the sound is. And Snarg and Guido are just like gritting their teeth, trying to stay focused as it grates
Nails in a
open.
chalkboard.
Yeah, and then finally it finishes, and a smooth, buttery voice emits and begins talking. From the beginnings of the timeless hegemony, there were the 4 emperors. The 4 emperors ruled the hegemony with absolute sovereignty. 1 skilled in knowledge, 1 versed in conflict, 1 schooled in construction, and 1 supreme in matters of the mind. The 4 emperors, in their wisdom, appointed of their children the 4 kings who would disseminate their rule throughout the hegemony. These 4 kings, Mandokir, Delithia, Anadil, and Tyascan, would reign over Scion and Servitor alike, and helped spread the hegemony across the known world. Within 2 decades, only the war-torn lands were untouched by their greatness. The speed and skill with which they advanced, both magically and technologically, was owned solely by their unique design. But as children are wont, the 4 kings wished for more than they had, and so sought to rebel against their masters. This attempt ended in foolishness, not perceiving that their greatest advantage worked against them in internecine affairs. Facing the inevitability of their failure, the 4 kings created a balm in the guise of 2 of the emperors. The 4 kings sought only self-rulership, but the 2 emperors perceived in their differing ways that the servitor races were languishing in an eternal state of mind-slave, and it was detrimental to Scion and Servitor both. So, with the aid of these 2 emperors, lacelles were constructed, known in the modern tongue as sanctuaries of. Utilizing 4 of the elemental ley lines directly to lock themselves away from the outside world, the 4 kings would live in privacy and solitude. The 4 kings, blinded by the possibility of a private kingdom, agreed without question. Vasmora, a long-standing and loyal servant of the Most High Emperors, through agents and subtlety, had learned of the plans of the 4 kings. Saboteurs were placed, ready to punish or destroy the so-called Unknown Kingdom. From these they learned, incidentally, of how they planned to lock their kingdom away from the outside world, and so Vasmora brought this information to the Gold Lord she served so loyally. Many loyal scions volunteered to be placed in similar facilities where the remaining ley lines connected, their souls becoming permanently infused with the ley lines over the course of many long years, such that they could be used as a shield from the outside world, a safe haven from which to weather the impossible scenario, the thought that the Psionic Empire, the great hegemony, might fall. The 2 emperors had other plans for the lacelles, but those never saw fruition, as the shadow threat arose in Alborian. Armies of the greatest and most elite psionic troops, supported by hundreds of thousands of servitor skirmishers, marched on the shadow, confident in victory, as they had always been. And when the armies returned home, they informed their leaders that victory was theirs indeed, with a smile. So the shadow threat spread and spread, faster even than the great hegemony in its arisal, until even the most desperate of options were being considered. The 2 rebellious emperors fled to the most dangerous lands known. The 3rd emperor, in terror, sought refuge amongst the plains. The last remained within his eternal palace, alone. When the scions departed this world, the shadow left with them, leaving servitor races born and raised in the state of mind-slave, scarcely capable of picking up the pieces by themselves. The 2 emperors, in their own ways, sought to guide and aid this burgeoning society, for their benefit, for the advancement of the emperor's causes. One chose subtlety, quietly, invisibly pulling strings behind the scenes for decades, while the other formed a nation and stood proud, strong, guiding the lesser races as though they were own children. The two sides never fully reconciled. The golem shifts a bit and starts to expand until it reaches its full colossal size on the other side of the room. Due to your performance in the trials that have been set before you, you have been given the right to answer a total of 3 questions, and those will be answered as honestly as this unit is capable of doing. Choose wisely.
I'm not saying anything just in case it takes that as a question.
What? What I said was...
Yeah.
Next question. Why? Well, because...
Yeah, I think we should discuss that via mental link so that it doesn't interpret any of our discussion as asking it questions.
Suddenly, Araguna pops into the room.
Oh, shit.
What you guys doing? Suddenly, everyone in the room attacks it, the golem included.
Oh, God.
Back to the abyss, you.
The abyss. Very good, Lord of the Abyss.
So, Finalizing is part of this discussion, but she is going to defer to you 3 for obvious out-of-character reasons. The only thing she's going to add to the debate is, I don't think "how can we kill Gerlin" is a satisfactory question, so I think we should skip over that one. What do you guys think?
Damn it.
I'm inclined to agree.
I imagine the answer would be something stupid like, "You have to prevent him from being alive," and that would be the answer. And,
Well, I mean, we know we can probably just kill him. So, yeah. Anyway.
We think we can probably just kill him.
Well.
Oh, sorry.
Fake golem.
Gollum, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
I disbelieve.
Damn it! Okay, the golem fades away, and it's Araguna. He's like, "Hi, guys!"
Throw him in the abyss.
Disbelieve again.
Wait, do you disbelieve the abyss or Araguna?
Everything.
Snorg, you wake up, you're in bed, you're actually a mosswort.
Oh, that was a weird dream.
The end. So, if you're going to
I have
discuss,
some nice
discuss.
ruby slippers.
I think we're all thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to figure out what...
I'll go ahead and tell you something out of character. I'm not going to be an asshole about this. You know, no.
Well, this isn't a Jin.
Yeah, exactly. This is not a Jin situation. That's a great way to put that. So,
Well, I've got one potential question.
where is a home for my family?
No.
For my tribe, excuse me. And the answer is, well, I'm not going to say what the answer is.
What do you think?
Regarding Alborian.
Wait, what?
Because that got mentioned like once, and that said that's where the shadows came from, right?
That is what he said. The shadow...
So-
in fact, to quote myself directly, the shadow threat arose in the Arborian homelands.
Yes. Trying to find out a little, like where exactly, because I imagine that's probably not any place we've ever heard of, right?
Arborian is the other continent. This continent is
Really?
Dareth. This continent is Arborian.
I had something completely different worked on for this guy. I was like, what?
Was it Iron Guard by chance?
No.
Because that's the third continent. It's only been mentioned once as well, ever in the entire campaign.
No, it's not even really.
But
that's
Arborian
the
has been
sense.
mentioned a couple of times, and in fact, the airship that the Ulthoid took, the psionic airship, actually sailed in that direction to examine. It was one of their first things they did.
And they were the
Yeah.
first airship to actually come back, right?
Yep. In ever.
Yeah.
Anyway, just had a really bad thought.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
I'm just
Yeah.
totally unprepared for that level of, what
Questioning.
should we ask? Yeah.
I'll also tell you one other thing. There are some questions it literally doesn't know the answers to. I thought of a few myself. Obviously, I thought of actually quite a few myself, and I was like, well, I don't think it would be in this thing's ability to answer that, so this question is invalid. But it won't count that against you. I already decided. If you ask,
was just gonna ask.
if you ask, what is the secret of life, it will say, I do not know. Retry or something like that.
question not
Again,
found.
not a djinn.
I mean, I'd probably try to ask something about the shadows and what exactly, because we know literally nothing about them so far, and it seems to know something.
What does he want to know?
No.
Point of clarification, if I may.
Mm.
You started saying there were 4 emperors
Yep.
and then
ended
4
saying there
kings.
Yep.
Or
And
emperors
you-
and 4 kings are the same thing or different?
They're
Ended
different.
saying 2 emperors.
Yes. That was deliberate.
So, not asking. This is, mentally.
The answer is no.
What happened to the other 2 emperors?
I even named the 4
No.
kings, actually. I hope one of you guys wrote that down.
I was
No.
trying to, but you were going too fast.
I'll go ahead and repeat them if you want.
Okay. Yeah, that'd actually be good.
Mandokir, who you've heard of before. He was the guy who was in charge of Visay and LaSalle. Next one is Delithia. You've actually heard her referenced on Aphis LaSalle. Next one is Anadil, Anadil. And this one I'm going to allow you guys to do a knowledge history, or knowledge politics, excuse me, to determine if you ever heard of that name.
Okay. Would psionics help with this one as well?
Nope.
Okay.
For once, no. The last one is Tiascan. T-I-A.
Oh,
Scan.
Can you say that again? Tyson? How do you spell that?
Tiascan.
Thank you. Any reference to him in the past?
None. Well, other than the vague ones in that book Snarg got forever ago, no.
Okay.
So, what's your knowledge politics?
11.
Nope. This is a hard DC. This is pretty rare.
Wait, knowledge politics or knowledge history?
Is
We don't
history a
have
thing?
knowledge history.
As I say, I didn't think it was a thing for this skill
Oh.
set. So, politics, in this case.
I got nothing.
Okay.
Dice. Shit. I rolled 5. That makes it a 16.
So, yeah, you guys have never even heard of this guy.
So those are the 4 kings, and who are the 4 emperors again?
Never named him.
Oh,
Or rather, he never named him. It never named him. Just mentioned the 4 and then the 2.
so I'm guessing the 2 that survived were Garland and Lady Airfall, but that's just me out of character guessing.
It's not in character guessing? What the hell, man?
I had a question. What do we know about the psionic titles and what they normally refer to, for example, an emperor as? Is it just emperor? Do they have other...
You actually haven't really heard any titles other than the title I've repeated a few trillion times, the Gold Lord.
Okay.
Although it is possible that his eternal splendor is a title and not a name.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know, guys.
Most of the questions I would have would be regarding the shadow stuffs, more specifically, what exactly they are and how in the world do we stop the whole contingency that Garland's doing? Because this is kind of related to that. Because if I recall correctly, the whole thing that he's doing is hey, let's blow up the whole planet in order to wipe out the shadows. Doomsday device. Copyright.
Only Garland would copyright that. Garland and EA. But yeah, that is what the Olthoi were postulating on, and what you learned from several psionic works,
Yes.
or databases, basically.
Yes. So that's one that I'm proposing, putting forward for discussion.
Wait, which question? Because that was two questions.
How to stop that whole contingency.
Okay.
The shadows or Garland's blow up the Earth?
Yes.
How does
sorry,
Concept
I-
World the
I-
Earth
I-
plan,
Letter.
believe was the question.
The latter.
Sis, do you have anything to add?
I'm thinking.
Okay. This whole time, the golem's just standing there, hovering.
No, he's waited for like millions of years or whatever. He can wait for a couple of seconds.
In the mountains.
So inside the mind leak, there's the one voice of Z's that's sitting there going, "Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit," and there's the other voice of Z's that going, "Would you shut up?"
Oh, actually, that's a fun point. Being in proximity to this thing is reducing you by 2 steps.
I don't remember what a 5 was.
No, the step before paranoid. I think that was like the really excited, jubilant one, if memory serves.
I think you're right.
The one who was like, "Yeah, I'll do this. No, don't worry, I got it." So instead, Z's mind is like, "Wee! Oh, we should ask him about this and this. We can learn about the secrets of the universe. We can learn how to build our own airships. Oh, wouldn't that be cool? We could be like, whoosh, whoosh.
That would be
I can ask him
crazy
who's going to
long
win the
answer.
Valsen Ball season.
Who's gonna win the Valsball season?" And he'll be like, "One moment, let me divine the future. It will be won by Keldamir of Autumn Watcher.
I thought it had to be won by a team.
He is the only one who will survive the coming apocalypse."
Oh,
So technically he wins.
So technically, he is the winner.
Mhm.
It's a Darwinian tournament bracket.
Oh, I have that one I proposed, and then there's the obvious ones we could ask, essentially. You know,
Who is
Describe-
Garland?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
well, who is the man behind the apocalypse? Tonight at 11.
to which apocalypse do you refer?
That one. There's a couple of people who are been named in title only. We could find out more about that specifically.
Oh, God.
We
Everyone do
should
me a
not ask
favor.
that question.
No. Everyone do me a favor and just theoretically, like, as if you asked that question, we'll save.
I rolled
Okay.
a 17,
Actually, I suppose this is opposed, so I need to roll 2.
which
30.
means that's a 28.
I actually rolled a 20.
Oh, shit.
I'm not sure. Snarg, you might be able to beat it.
I didn't roll at 20. I rolled a 30.
26.
Anyways, continue. That would be so horrible. It's so awesome. Go ahead and ask that question. I dare you.
I'm just putting out question proposals.
Furiousness says, "Why don't we ask it?" And Z, this is when Z leaps in and asks about the Valsenball thing. And Furious's like, "No. We need to use divination to figure that out. This is about the past, or the present, I guess. But we could figure out who we talk to get really good seats for the rest of the season.
I have a VIP pass.
You do?
Yeah, look.
Oh my god! By the way, what's spell symbol?
It's awesome. And Z actually like says that out loud.
And then the golem is like, does not compute. Please restate question in the form of a question.
I'm sorry. And then she pops inside and she goes, I'm sorry. It's awesome. Only it's like 15 times louder. Inside your head.
Okay. Z, I'm gonna turn you down for a bit, okay? Okay, a little bit back up. Let me apply the noise filter here. No! No! Need to get the strainer out there.
Oh. The way I see it, we can ask a few questions. We can ask, where did the Scions go? Because it made reference to them leaving. We can ask about Garland. We can ask what's wrong with these non-Scions on this island. We can ask the best way to deal with the shadow threat. I can ask what I am.
No comment.
Yeah.
And then Z can ask, what is itching my ear?
It's not my ear, it's my sides of my face.
It is a particle of dust on your skin. Next question.
We could always ask if there is a way to cure the desolate affliction.
We could.
That's
Z's response to that is, why do you keep calling me an affliction?
no comment. It's not racist because he's a desolate and he said it.
I'm not even touching that. I already have enough trouble keeping my show PG-13 with Sis over there.
It's okay, little one.
It did not fall on the floor.
No, I actually do like the question because if it doesn't know anything about it, then it doesn't know anything about it.
What question?
It's not going to count against us, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, about Desolate? We can also ask where it came from.
We
Because
can.
it was obviously sent here.
Yes. It could have been just like, I was built by so-and-so, and then we don't want to. Okay, great.
Master Tyrondius Thelamus IV instructed me in secret.
One other question I thought of is also how do we gain access to the other Lascelles? Or actually, they'd call them sanctuaries, wouldn't they?
No, the other.
It actually doesn't matter because now the Jinn.
Yeah.
No, I won't do that.
What?
Well, you know the classic last question for
Yeah.
which thing there is, how do we kill you? It's like, no.
Apply combative force at significant value.
Apply directly to the forehead. Apply directly to
So Snarg is like trying to pick up this colossal golem.
And touch it to his forehead.
Yeah. Guido, help me out here.
Only Guido rolled a 2.
So
That would be par for the course, yes. Okay, so far, the questions that I'm hearing are, like I said, is there a way to cure the desolation? Is there a way to access the other sanctuaries? Is there a way to deal with the shadow threat, or is there a way to deal with the Garland threat? Do we have any other questions we want to add to the list, and then?
Well, I
Cut
mean,
it
I've got a
down?
bunch of I've got several that are more curiosity questions than anything, but since we're limited to 3, this could be very important. So that I have nothing to add at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a bunch of questions, historical knowledge, but not really relevant to, save the world.
Yeah.
Z?
I think we're on pretty good track with what we've got thus far.
Right. We've got to narrow it down to 3 then.
for record, I have been keeping track of your progress through this dungeon. That's why you get 3. It's not because you have 3 party members.
I'm guessing we would have had more if we had done better in some of the other areas.
Mm-hmm.
It figures.
Up to a max of 7 if you did everything right. Oh, right. It's not me judging it, it's the person who made this golem judging it.
So you can go ahead and decide which ones we want to do. I think Desolation, Stopping, Ireland, and
I'll go ahead and tell you in advance. If your question is literally how do we stop Garland, its response is going to be
Well-
clarify.
well, paraphrasing.
I'm just telling you in advance.
You know, we could just ask one and see where that takes us. If we get a satisfactory answer, modify our questions based on what we hear.
Okay.
I'm
which
fine
one
with
do you
that.
want to ask first.
Suppose if I was going to ask one first, I'd ask about the stopping the airline/contingency plan thing.
I vote against that.
Okay, what do you vote for?
Well, stopping Garland will stop the plan, so I don't really think that's a necessary question to ask.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it supposed to go off on a timed basis anyway?
No, he had to go to each one and set it off.
I mean, originally.
Oh. He killed most of the scions, so I'm assuming said plan is now not feasible.
I just thought it was an automatic thing, regardless of whether or not somebody pushed it ahead of time.
Actually, that is not true. There was a certain time requirement, but someone would have to set it off regardless, even if there was only one person left. One last scion on the planet.
Okay, so we need to kill Firnasil.
Ugh! And you say that in mind, like, and she's like,
Not right now.
Guido, all of a sudden you feel like dancing like a chicken.
So that's how I normally dance anyway. What's different?
And Guido's and the golem is like, does not compute.
Yeah, I don't
Please
understand the type of
rephrase.
thing I'm seeing.
Please.
I get that a lot.
Rephrase question as question. And
No, it
not.
can actually speak chicken, so it's like the answer to your question. No, all of the chicken feed is approximately 3,400. So what? Yeah, sorry, I interrupted.
My vote would be to the how do we deal with the shadow threat? What is the best way to deal with the shadow threat?
So, is the shadow threat still a threat?
Yeah, and we know it is. They're on Oburian. There's a reason why the Ulthoi have been flying by there as fast as they can go.
I will also remind you, if any of you forgot, that their scanners of Aborian found no life of any kind, even bacterial.
And we know that shadows aren't alive. We also know that the food was a trap.
It was.
Which food?
The food that we were eating at the island that we were just at.
Well, you're still there.
That we are at. That was outside of this facility.
If we ask that, maybe we should modify the question a bit to say without using the whole world destroying thing, because we know about that already. We know that was what they were planning on doing, because otherwise I might just say that.
How do we stop the shadows? You must destroy the planet. Next question.
That's the only thing I have to add about that.
Okay, I am okay with that.
So, how do we stop the shadow threat?
How do we shop for shadows?
How would you stop shadows? How do we shop for shadows?
First, take a large ship to this location.
So, how do we stop the shadow threat without utilizing world-destroying? I don't want to say technology, but how would you say that?
How do we stop the shadow threat without destroying the world? The planet?
Okay.
The continent? The land mass that they happen to be on?
Everything. I mean, all of the tectonic plates crack simultaneously. So after a moment's consideration, and there's actually a pause here, which I'm going to mention because it may or may not become relevant, the Diamond Golem shifts a bit and lowers itself and says, the only known method to successfully defeat the shadow threat without consideration to the shadow threat succeeding in its task, which would also end the shadow threat, is for the fulcrum point to be destroyed.
I'm going to
Clarify.
No, I'm going to turn around to Ricard and give him a look like, do you know what the hell that means? Ricard shrugs at me.
Yeah, he does. Roll deception. No, he'll be honest. It just occurred to me that he actually has a vested interest in being honest here. So he will tell you that he actually is aware of theories of what the fulcrum is. The
Excellent.
theory is that all shadows actually pivot, hence the point, on a single individual. And if that individual was removed, the capacity for the shadow to function would be lessened to the point where they would no longer be the kind of threat that they are right now. And that is all.
So they're the Borg.
No.
Resistance is futile.
Okay.
Okay. We can ask, if we want to move forward, we can ask where the focal point is.
Fulcrum.
Fulcrum point is. We can ask who the fulcrum point was. I'm assuming that would be a was.
Was is correct. It's a name I borrowed, and I thought about changing it, but I love the sound of the name so much, so I kept it.
Yeah, I mean, we could ask who or what the fulcrum is, or where.
I think where would be a better question to ask. Because yeah. Chances are a name from that far back isn't going to mean anything to us.
Well, along that same line of thought, perhaps we should ask, how do you get to it? Otherwise, it might just say, so-and-so. I have no idea what that is.
Bob. Of
That's a good
Bobson.
point. So we could ask, how do we travel to the location of the program? But if we do that, it might say airship. Walking.
So maybe ask for directions.
Yes. Oops. Oh, shoot.
We head that way by 800 miles, turn left to McDonald's.
No, turn left at the Big Chicken.
So you said it's not a djinn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming
Can-
that means that we can ask a question with the intent of the question. If we don't phrase it just perfectly right, you aren't going to screw us.
That is the idea.
Okay.
Can we ask a multifaceted question that would have a complicated answer?
It basically
Such
dep-
as, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just saying, it depends on the question, but if you're going to have an example, go for it.
Well, using this fulcrum thing as the example, where would we find the fulcrum, and what is the safest method to get there?
I'd allow that because the second answer isn't going to help you.
I don't know. Guys,
That sounds, I mean, if we're going to go along the same line of questioning.
Well, we don't
Yeah.
have to go along the same line of questioning. I was just...
you had
It is
expressed
also
interest in continuing that, so I'm just using, on that train.
Well, that is, something that we were interested in. We could also diverge and try to learn a little about a lot with 3 questions.
I have faith in you guys.
No, you don't.
Well, we need to figure out what we're asking.
We're all thinking while I'm talking. You two are supposed to be thinking.
Third?
Aside from the ones I,
By the way, I have to
Posed
be in
earlier.
early,
No.
so
how do I stop that contingency plan?
probably gonna need to cut it off
Isolation thing.
after the questions.
Anything else would essentially just be not relevant. Well, it could possibly be relevant, but not directly relevant to what we're trying to do at the moment. So I would not even bring it up because, like I said, there's a wealth of stuff we could ask, but since we're limited to 3 questions, ask stuff like who or what is the Gold Lord? It may be a little bit of an interesting tidbit, but I can't see directly right
We
now
know
how
who
that
the
helps
Gold
us.
Lord is. The Gold Lord is Garland.
Well,
But we don't know who Garland
the-
is.
the role and purpose and stuff, but that'd just be unless it decides to reveal something, that would just be
We could ask who the
tidbits.
4... what the 4 emperors are doing currently.
Good.
I have to think about that one for a moment.
That's a fair question.
What am I hearing? Oh, never mind. Go ahead. I just suddenly was hearing.
You know what? Let's just say, let's ask that one.
Okay.
All right.
All right,
Just
so
because.
for the sake of okay, wait till she's done, and then for the sake of the viewers, repeat the question so I can cut it in.
It shouldn't have been that loud.
It was just distracting, and it's just easier for editing purposes to just chop all that out, and then so you just say the question if you follow my logic. So go, question.
I believe the question was, what are the 4 emperors doing? Is that correct? Right now.
Sure.
All right.
Okay.
Everyone will save.
All right.
I'm keeping the roll I had last time. I'm giving
Mine's
you guys
a
another
29.
chance to beat it.
Come on, dice little buddy, don't let me down.
You're not allowed to keep the roll you had last time. That was a hypothetical, and no one had the chance to beat it except possibly Snarg.
Fine, fine.
I got a 31 total.
22.
I got a 29.
I'm sorry, everyone fails. So the answer it gives... I shouldn't have said that. So the answer it gives... Shoot, I actually have to think about this, because I want to give more than just, they're doing stuff, you know, I want to give you a real answer. Okay. You suddenly see an image appear on the ground in front of you. Just fully three-dimensional kind of a thing. You've seen this before. For all intents and purposes, it's effectively a hologram, but it's the magically produced ones that are an actual live image of whatever you're looking at. You see a tall-looking gentleman talking with several people. Some Burun are there. There's a couple of Sclavi. There's some Banderlings. There's some Orcs. A whole bunch of species there, in other words, is kind of the point I'm trying to make. There's some Elves. There's some Dwarves. There's a Lukian or two. And he is obviously giving orders to them. Snarg, roll flat int. Or whiz. It's up to you. This is memory.
Int is better, so...
Sure.
15.
Okay, I'm actually going to give it to you on that. You recognize that spot. It is a
Where is
little-known location. It's a plains, and as you're looking at it, you actually ask the golem, could you could you give me more of a shot? Could you zoom out or something so can I see more? And it does, and you realize, yes, you've been here. This is the plains of insert name here. This is up in Stonehold.
Ah, okay.
And the golem points out and says, this is one of the emperors this emperor, excuse me, is currently leading his forces.
Oh, God.
I know what force that is.
Then the picture changes, and you see what is obviously a vessel that
Shouldn't I have been given the opportunity to roll on that, too?
Yeah, I guess you could have. That didn't occur to me you've actually been up there.
A lot?
Yeah. It occurred to me more appropriate for Snarg, because it's not like an important landmark, it's just some random field out by Stonehold. The Stonehold city, not Stonehold region.
Okay.
Either way, the two of you recognize it one way or the other. Next thing you see is what looks like a ship. Anybody may roll knowledge engineering.
Mine's a 14.
Guido?
32.
Okay, Guido, you nail this. I was hoping for a 20 on this one. It looks like a standard sailing vessel, but the moment you start to look at it more clearly, it's obvious there's not enough rigging there, and there's not enough canvas for this ship to actually function. It looks purely decorative, which is weird because the ship is sailing just fine. And as you start to pay attention, you realize there's tiny little details in the design of it that are not structurally sound, and would only function if they were specifically and very carefully and very powerfully woven to work. This kind of thing has happened amongst the four nations on occasion, but this kind of thing is very hard to do because effectively you're basically doing airship level weaving in order to make a ship work that shouldn't. Is basically what this comes down to. On board are several people that you all immediately recognize as Dericost. Probably not a big reveal there.
What kind of Derek cost?
They're Dericost. They're people.
I thought there was different stages of them or something.
There are. So I guess these would all be pures. Well, I guess that's a lie. There's actually most of the ones you see congregated around the individual the camera is focused on, which is a woman, are pures, aka they look fairly humanoid with the slight vampirism kind of thing, pale skin, that kind of thing.
Okay.
There are several revenant guards protecting the pures, and then there's a lot of the more decayed, which are actually working on the ship and keeping it functional. Then the camera shifts again.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
You didn't give any details on the woman that they were gathered around.
On what they were doing.
She's not actually doing anything at the moment, which is why. She's literally just on the ship, waiting, looking. I'll go ahead and give you one thing, just to help you out here. She's looking anxious. She looks like she's impatient, like just waiting for something to happen.
Any idea? I mean, will he zoom out again to give me an idea of where the ship might be located?
He'll go and tell you this is on the inner sea,
Okay.
Which direction is it traveling?
north.
Or up? Okay.
Next thing you see.
I'm also familiar with there. Do I recognize anyone?
No.
Okay.
Then it shifts to an image that's going to be a little bit harder for me to describe. You see, most of you have seen weaving in action. A couple of you have seen arc weaving in action. What you're now seeing is the step past that. Literally, matter is being reconstituted and reconstructed before your literal eyes, and being changed from brick into marble.
I'm gonna ask
into
the
mortar.
GM if he can zoom, or ask the GM. I'm gonna ask.
Hang on.
I'm gonna ask if we can zoom in on that.
Yeah, but give me a second. So all this stuff is being reshaped and remolded at will, and it's being woven in addition to being changed in its literal structure as it's going. And of course, amongst it all is standing a figure you recognize very well, Garland himself, the wind buffeting about him. And I'm going to give you something about that, so which is going to require a roll, but give me a second. I want to describe the rest of the scene first. And he's really dramatically posing. He's doing this thing, a blood elf male kind of a thing. And all of the matter around him is forming into this great jade structure, which is slowly taking place around him and forming it. And then you ask for it to zoom out, and you realize what he is doing is he's building some kind of a fortress constructed out of whatever this jade material is. So there's two rolls you can do about this. Roll number one is just plain awareness.
I rolled a figure out where the hell my awareness is. 19 and 14 is 33.
That's enough by itself, so I'll just give it to you. You can tell by the way he looks, by the angles, and by the way the wind is billowing, he's actually in midair, quite a bit up in the air.
In my head, I'm going, oh shit, he can fly.
Well, let's look in the card.
I'd like to to spellcraft that to see if I know any idea of something that could cause you to fly.
Yeah, go ahead. That would be Knowledge Arcana, though, not Spellcraft for that kind of a roll. I'm sorry. Please don't hate me. That is a flat knowledge roll.
No, it's more than a flat knowledge. No, it is a flat knowledge roll for me.
Yeah.
Shit. I rolled a 3. That makes it a 9.
Well, based on your experience, even with a 9, I'll give you a bit of a bonus because you do have decent knowledge about this sort of thing. Flying.
I have a spellcraft out the wazoo.
Flying
That would've been a
is
27.
very, very rare as far as actual weaving enchantment ability kind of thing. For some reason, and there is actually an in-lore reason which you don't know, of course, but for some reason, it's one of those weaving enchantments that just doesn't really happen, and nobody's really sure why. There's been a lot of studies done about it. It's one of the reasons airships were such a big, step forward. Airships technically actually don't fly, though. They effectively just float and control that float very carefully. Now, what's the other roll I was going to give you? I don't remember. Oh, yes I do. I'm trying to think what knowledge this would be. Let's go with Knowledge Arcana. No. It's to identify the material he's using.
Engineering?
Engineering
Guido.
good work, sure.
There you go, Guido.
I'll give you that.
Guido, you got to do better than I did. I rolled a 1.
You got this, Guido.
How about a 35?
30. Oh my god.
There you go.
All right, Guido. I'm going to make up a backstory to explain why you've ever even heard of this. So give me a moment. Let me think about this for a second.
What are the, I'll say, clerics of the Lugians that I... Oh, that doesn't help.
Just a silly question, because I have to ask it. Does analysis work through images?
How did we decide your analysis works in the end? I gave you 2 choices. What did you decide?
I decided on I can pick, but it's not going to be. I can just pick anything they have. It's more. It's less powerful, but it's guaranteed. I don't know what exactly that.
No, that's what I need to know. It means, for example, if you scanned Garland, you could not gain his ability to de-weave life.
Right. Right.
That's a pretty one-to-one example.
Yeah. It's like, I choose that. We win. No.
In this specific case, the answer is yes.
Okay.
Now, I want you to roll to see if you can decide to think about that while this image is on the screen, so to speak.
What do you want me to roll?
Flat int.
Okay.
No, flat whiz.
1 less. It's a pretty good roll on the dice.
You get what, a 3?
No. A total of 17.
Oh, 17. Okay. Huh. Okay, that's pretty cool, Guido. I like that. With a 17, I'll give it to you. So you may scan Gerlin. I'm going to have to learn about his abilities. So give me a minute.
And Snarg was never the same.
No. I am actually also going to need a willpower save, by the way.
Okay.
But while we're doing that, I'll get back to Guido's thing. Guido, when you were working with that lithos, but way back in the day, you basically, thanks to... You were friends with someone who was very well politically connected in the Republic, and they had been basically... They were always very ambitious. They always wanted to do, special forces, join the military kind of a thing, right? Because that's effectively what the Republic's military is. And so... he kept really pushing for that kind of a thing and pushing. And one day he and you were just chatting idly, and he mentioned something as an aside, and you never heard of it. It was called aetherite. And you were like, what's aetherite?
A-E?
A-E-T-H-E-R-I-T-E.
Yep. Just making sure of your spelling there.
Yeah. Aetherite. And you were like, well, what's that? And he's like, well, and he pauses, don't tell anyone about this, because it's actually a state secret. But it's this new substance we just recently started discovering. We don't even know what it is yet or how it works, but it looks like this, and he describes it, and it's basically like this green jade material that has black, basically cracks and veins going through it, and it tends to pulse with energy.
And it tends to what?
Pulse with energy.
Like of its own volition, or like...
Of its own volition, just on its own. And so you this is the first time you've really thought about that incident, pretty much since then, Guido. But as you see that the visual is so distinct, you're just like, and it hits you, and you remember when he was talking about it, like 20 years ago or whatever it was, and you're like, and you haven't heard about it since, by the way.
Good old Snowden.
And do I know any properties of it?
Nothing.
You know it pulses with energy.
The fact
And
that you know
its
about it
color
all
is
is
green.
because you got such a colossally high roll.
Okay.
I had to come up with backstory to explain how you knew about that. Come on. So, Snarg.
Also, unrelated question.
Yeah.
Do we recognize Garland?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen
Yeah,
pictures of him.
You've seen pictures. You've seen
And
Okay, well-
statues.
shot. You've seen lots of statues of him.
Sorry, for some reason, I was thinking that would we recognize him if we saw him somewhere in public?
Yeah, unless he was changing his appearance, obviously. Yeah, he'd be pretty obvious.
Okay.
And he is, of course, wearing his distinctive red robes. Or red cloak. But yeah, his red robes. Snarg. You may become amazing at weaving. You may become insane. And there are some benefits that go
that's
with
a
that.
that's a skill.
Admittedly. There are some benefits that come with it. Believe it or not, you're actually immune to the detriments of that. The non-obvious detriments that I'm not telling you about. You may choose to gain his command of psionic powers temporarily. Basically you'd be equivalent to Fear and Seal, except a bit stronger. You may choose to
Mind control, fear, and a seal.
How do you like it?
That's what you did. Oh my god. Hang on, Gerlin, I know you
monkey,
want to kill
jump.
us, but stand there for just a second. Bzz. Okay, Fear and a Seal. I've always wanted to do this. Dance like a chicken. And then you dance with her. Like, you're not even being malicious. You just want a dance partner, because no one will ever dance with you like a chicken.
Yes.
I've lost track. You may...
Become insane. Become a scion.
Become insane, becomes a scion. You may gain his weaving capacity. All of this is temporary, of course. You may gain... I'm debating this one, but you could gain access to his memories. It will be very fragmented. I'll go ahead and tell you that in advance.
Yeah, that's actually what I was.
He is insane.
He is nuts. Or you may gain access to... Do I want to give you that? Or you may gain access to his... Nah, we're going to cut off there. We're going to cut off. That's what you can get.
Okay. The memories is actually a lot along the lines of what I was trying to get to, essentially trying to ascertain, what he's doing, where he is, etc.
All right, so you are going to gain an amount of memories equal to however many hours I roll on this dice.
Okay.
God, of course I roll high. You also need to do another will save.
In addition to the first one?
Yep.
All right.
Jackal.
The first one was 42, by the way.
Okay.
This one, okay, a little bit lower. 35.
Okay. So you pull off the 35, and it hits you, and you're actually momentarily stunned mentally because of the sheer chaotic nature of the way his thoughts work. And it takes you roll a flat int.
Okay. Yeah.
I want a
9.
nap.
Now, what was it?
9.
It takes you a while, 6 minutes actually, of real time, of just standing there really, really focusing your mind to try and make sense of what's thundering through your brain. It's just a bunch of disoriented, disjointed pictures
Are
and
you still
thoughts and
linked?
sounds.
We are all
That's a good
mental
Well,
linked
I know.
up till
I
this
mean,
point.
I'm. No,
You're still
because
mental linked,
I would
you're showing
think I'd
all
have
of
enough
us,
sense
and I
to say,
have a
okay,
perfect memory.
I'm going to try an analysis, Garland. If something happens, let's not spread this. So
So what happens is Snarg goes rigid and starts going.
I'm gonna link up with him.
no. No, I know.
No, okay. Z has a perfect memory. Z has perfect memory.
Okay.
I will be able to recall an exact detail. Even if I can't deal with it now, I will be able to think about it again and recall in exact detail exactly what I just saw.
Okay. I mean, if you want to be exposed to it, sure.
I'm okay with being exposed to it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have tried to mental link with you.
Okay.
Just you automatically go up to a 6.
What was I at before?
5.
What was a 6? I
It's
think a
trapped.
6 was me
I
hugging
think
people.
you're back to where you were when we started.
No,
I
I
thought
was.
s-
Oh, 6 is a trap.
6 is paranoia.
Yay!
So you're now at a paranoid state.
Okay.
After 6 minutes, You manage to get the images down. The images, of course, long moved on, and I'll tell you what the fourth image
And
is
I'm
in a
just
moment.
sitting there.
But after a moment, it finally settles down, and you get a few. You've managed to piece together a few bits and pieces of what you just saw. You were aware of the fact that for the last day and a half, because I rolled really high, Gearlin has been flying directly above Crater, the actual crater that makes up the crater region, summoning huge amounts of aetherite, because there's tons of it up there for some reason, in order to construct a flying fortress which is, in his own thoughts, a backup plan. He has every intention of using it to just kind of float over the rest of the continent and start destroying things abstractly from his floating fortress of doom.
That's what he's called.
Based on his
And
progress...
this is Plan B.
This is Plan B. Based on his progress, he will very likely be done. In 5 days, give or take.
Do we know what day it is?
No.
He has no recollection of time as we measure it.
Nope.
But we do know that this is going on today.
Yeah, right now. It is happening right now.
And he will be finished 5 days from whatever right now is.
Correct. That's your estimate, because you automatically succeeded a knowledge engineering roll, because I don't feel like making you roll it.
That's what his estimate is inside his memories. That's why we don't have to roll knowledge engineering.
Sure. He knows he'll be done soon. And he's always... Oh, right. That leads me to my last point. He's always watching. He's trying to figure out when Finalizing is going to... He's actually really, really impatient. And you can feel his impatience, even after you finish, just scratching at the back of your brain. It's actually really irritating, just sitting, having it just clawing at you. Because he is really irritated, and he just doesn't understand why Finalizing just doesn't do it already.
Okay.
I'm going to stop and turn around and go and Finalizing and say,
What's up?
what are you...
What?
What is it you're not doing?
We're not... Wait.
Yes!
Well, I haven't beaten Garland yet, if that's what you mean.
No, he wants you to do something. What is it that you're not doing?
If I could be a dick and ask if you're actually saying this out loud, and the golem
No.
says, what she's not doing right now.
Well, either way, we get an answer.
That's true.
No,
No, but Fearless is just like,
Excuse me.
And that's what Fearless says. Blah. I can't fake a burp. She's just like, what do you mean? And then you share the thoughts with her, and she's like, and this is in mind link, so you can tell she's not lying. She's just, maybe he wants me to. Well, I mean, he's been trying to make me evil this whole time. I mean, you remember the messages he kept leaving. So maybe he's like irritated that I'm not like turning to the dark side. I don't know. I don't like cookies that much. I'm sorry.
he's nuts.
The cookies are a lie.
Oh my god. So then, or rather, 6 minutes ago, you see a fourth image, and none of you can remember it. It was just immemorable, whatever it was. It was just some guy, and he was just standing there, and it was so disinteresting. You just said, just move it on. And you didn't think about it again because it was so unimportant to you.
I'm guessing that's his eternal splendor.
Well, you did fail the will save.
That was his eternal splendor. He must not have much going on if it's not even that important to remember. So, whatever.
It was like it was literally okay.
His
I'll
eternal
actually describe
boringness,
it.
maybe.
It was literally some guy sitting cross-legged, which I can't do because this chair isn't wide enough. Sitting cross-legged on some kind of stone. And he was just sitting there, doing nothing. And they were
Meditating.
just like, this is really dull. There was no one here. You had no idea where it was or anything. It was just okay, fine, whatever. And you just shut it off because it was just not worth remembering.
You're just a hippie on a rock.
Yeah, totally irrelevant.
Okay.
I imagine my sister will be asking me what the picture actually was after the session ends. I'm not sure I'm going to tell her, though.
Cheat! Cheat!
So you now have one question remaining. After 6 minutes pass and you share everything about Gerlin and what he's doing and why.
Okay.
And you're still impatient because you're now kind of infected with Gerlin's madness regardless of whether you took his insanity or not.
Yay.
Am I infected?
You're a 6 now.
Well, I know I'm a 6, but am I impatient and a 6?
Yes.
Oh, joy. I'm actually going to back up like 5 feet into the abyss. And I'm just going to sit there in the abyss for a while.
All right.
You can see the 4 statues right in front of you.
Yeah, I'm not actually doing anything. I'm just sitting there in the abyss.
The 4 statues suddenly turn to stare at you.
After a little
Come
while,
play
I'm
with
going to
us.
poke my head out and say, are we doing anything yet?
well-
Not like out loud in
Are-
my head. I'm just going to pop my head out because they can't hear me mind speak while I'm in there. So I'm going to pop my head out. Are we doing anything yet, guys?
Are you able to overcome your fear of the abyss?
I'm not thinking about being in the abyss.
Yeah, under these
I'm literally
circumstances,
consumed by impatience, and it's a trap.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Gotta go into the trap. Gotta go into the trap.
Gotta go right now.
Can we just go somewhere? I know there's a trap. I just need to find it. Are we doing anything yet?
The trap that you're looking for? It's that big diamond thing.
I dare you to attack him before you ask your third question.
How does this feel? Ka-chunk!
It feels great! Smash!
Well,
Well, I would say we can either ask about the fulcrum or desolation. I don't know if we need to bother with asking about the other sanctuaries.
yeah, I agree. I mean, not that it's not important, but for the third question. Because we do know technically of a way to get to the other ones. Oh.
Oh my god!
What?
It just occurred to me.
What?
We saw
Share
Miss
with class.
Piglet lady.
You saw what?
The lady. Or am I wrong? The one that sent Ricard,
Yes,
supposedly.
that was the Lady Airfall.
Ha! I've seen her now!
Oh.
That was the lady on the boat?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it was never confirmed, but that is pretty obvious at this point, I think.
Yeah, I think we learned it like at the Tusker human Isle.
So
Island.
we at least know that Ricard knows what the Lady Airfall looks like, even if the Lady Airfall didn't actually send him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he confirmed that when he got the statue of her, and he's like, and immediately.
No, we didn't know that when he got the statue. You could have just assumed that he inferred that that was the Lady Airfall.
That is true. The point she's making here is Ricard could have been lying about being from Airfall, or at least lying about knowing Airfall this whole time. And that actually is a very lycanthrope thing to do, because he'd be lying under orders from whoever actually sent him. So he would be unable to tell the truth on that matter.
Oh well.
And I've actively caught him out in no less than 3 lies thus far.
Mm-hmm. Including the one that he would definitely take your bodies back to your families.
All right.
I'm sorry, of all the lies to catch him in.
I knew he was lying about that. He doesn't even know who my family is, and nor does he have any way whatsoever of ever finding that out.
The tall gentleman that was leading the forces,
Mm-hmm.
does it match any of the statues?
Actually, no. However, by process of elimination, that is either his eternal splendor or Rytherin. Those are the only two that are not obviously accounted for.
Well,
Her
Personally,
Between-
I say we ask about the desolation first.
You have one question left.
Yes, I know. It's the less the my first thing is my thought process is on it. I don't think we're going to get an answer. But my reasoning is twofold. One, if he can't answer it, we don't lose the question. And two, if he can answer it, this is probably the only place that we're going to be able to find the answer to that.
That's a good point.
Because even as far advanced as everyone, as some of the desolate stuff. I mean, look, they made me a thing that could completely hide my desolation.
Right.
But even as advanced as we are, and as much as we know about desolation, nobody knows what causes it, and nobody knows how to get rid of it. They only know how to mask it.
All right.
That was my
Let's ask it
original
then.
thought when I was coming up with the question. So
Now, if you are going to ask that, I'm going to have to ask to clarify as a GM the intent of the question, because if you're asking for if there a cure for it, as in is there a way to make someone not a desolate, that is a different question from is there a solution to the problem of desolates not being able to get along with non-desolates, for example.
I want to know the answer to both of those.
You have one question, my dear, so I suggest you
I-
pick wisely.
cure.
No.
Really?
Getting along.
Excuse me.
I'll let the Desolates fight it out.
My thought process on getting along is chances are any quote unquote cure would be ridiculously hard to implement and cost a lot, and therefore wouldn't be, it'd be harder to convince them to use said cure because they just want to, they have a cure for desolation. Kill it.
Oh yeah, maybe she added a disclaimer. It's not just one side killing the other. At the end of this question.
How do we solve this problem without genocide?
Yeah. So I know not a Jin, but just in case.
Yeah, so my thought process on it wouldn't be cure first, because desolation is a state of being, not, well, it's multifold. Desolation is a state of being, it's not a disease. Two, even if we knew a way to reverse it, the number of people who would be skilled enough to implement said way to reverse it that would be willing to, rather than just kill them, are well hidden, already majorly vested in research, and hard to get to. In fact, you probably wouldn't even know who they are, much less how to get to them. And anybody else would just look at you and say, why are you trying to, why do you want to be nice to them? Why do you want to cure them? Why do you want to make them better? Just kill them. Because they hate them that bad. So my thought process on that would be, how do I massively fix the innate hatred of desolates without mass genocide?
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that angle of asking the question. I was originally thinking, think of the esteem that
We would get from curing
not
desolation.
us, well, not us, but whoever does end up implementing a, I'll say, cure.
Well, publicly it would be a cure because that's how the populace would perceive it.
Yeah.
You know, so the esteem that a group or whoever, you know, is able to implement it would be able to garner. I don't know a better way of putting it, but if you want to go with,
I see what you mean on that. Like I said, my thought process on it is, how are we going to find somebody who is willing to work with us to do that?
We've already
Marshall?
met some.
Huh?
You've already met some.
We've met one.
We met the gnome,
Yes.
and then, I mean, there may be other political groups.
Oh, we know of
Like,
several that are actively experimenting on desolates. Is
The
that what you're
clones.
getting at?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, who?
We know the gnome. We don't know where to find him anymore because we know he actively has to move constantly, and his
Right.
position was compromised
By you guys.
by us.
Yeah. I don't know who to take that to. You're right. It's not knowing politically who to approach and not being able to approach them. I think you're probably right, and the best option is how to get along without genocide. Sure.
Excuse me.
Okay. Is that the question you guys are finalizing? Is that your final answer? Or a question?
I will give Snarg the deciding vote here. I think Guido and I are in accordance, but I would like to hear his feedback because he's been deathly quiet, Mr. Desolate Hater. What? Of our group, you're the only one who's ever had a problem with desolates.
That is true, if you think about it. Fearness is like, hang on, I never had a problem with desolates. I just feel like pointing it out.
The reason he's staying out of it is because he would actually go for
No,
the
I
cure.
want you, the players.
I knew it! Oh my god!
Well, look, it's like...
I didn't know you played Valson Ball.
Yeah, the question is, can you explain Valsenball to me? I really just don't get it.
And he would explain it perfectly, and you would understand it, no roll. He would take it however much time is necessary. That would be awesome. I would actually like that. I would like give you guys bonus X for something if you did that. Don't do that.
Campfire, no,
No, at the camp, the next campfire you guys do, you should be like, I should have asked him about Valsenball. I could have finally figured it out. And Z would be like, and then she'd realize he's right, and she's like, I'm sorry you didn't learn about Valsenball, Snark.
Oh, well. I got the basics.
There's
Well-
balls, and
There's balls.
you score points.
And it's not the same every time. And the
it's
rules
not
can
the
completely change. Sometimes there's no balls. I don't care anymore.
Son of a!
Well, I do see where you're going with it, as far as the find a way to get along, as opposed to the cure, especially from the how can we actually do this if we get the cure. That being said, we have no idea how that would actually take place. So, to me, it'd be a little bit of a gamble going with the cure, but it could potentially pay off a whole lot more. But I don't know. You two seem to be decided on the.
Well, we're not decided until you've weighed in. So if you have additional thoughts, then that might influence our decision.
Well, if you're asking the player, I say go for the how to have everyone get along well. If you're asking Snark, he'll say something else. So.
Well, I did kind of.
The GM is going to roll. You have to go with Snarg's option. You have to give the in-character response.
You are muted.
You are muted, sis. And I can hear you, like, that way. But I can't hear you this way.
Oh, you disconnected those things.
Why did you disconnect them?
Got so mad.
I don't want to do that. Yeah, there you go. Of course, now she's gone again. Come back, sis. Come back.
There!
There we
Yeah.
go. Okay, so Snarg.
What?
Not third.
What?
Not anyone else. Snarg. Snarg has just been asked his opinion on this by Z and Guido.
No. I just paused the ground. Like, well, if I was a
Paws
desolate.
to the ground.
Pause the ground. If I was a desolate, I know I'd probably cure instead of just trying to get along with everyone.
Z's response is, so what you're telling me is you would hate yourself even as you were. Guido, as someone who didn't grow up as a desolate, would you prefer a cure? Or are you okay with your current state of being to the point of you would be just not having to deal with the stupid socialness of not getting murdered every time you go into town
Or banished.
or banished?
I just bring that up because that's actually a little more common for most people.
If there was a cure, there wouldn't have to be getting along in spite of the
But
I
it's
call
so
it the
much more
affliction.
convenient to just go places than to go places. Sorry, Z's actually like actively ranting with her head poked out through the abyss. Because she's still kind of sitting in the abyss.
Impatiently.
It's so much easier to just go places than to go places.
And it's funny because she's really impatient right now, so that really has more weight than it normally would.
Yeah, hence the reason I reset it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
I mean,
you, but
I
ahead.
can understand someone being born with desolation not having any other experience, but and I don't know how curing someone that was born with desolation would even work. If that's
Well, if it
No.
makes you feel better, I don't actually know if I'm still desolate. And Z just kind of cuts off there.
But, I mean, if there was a way to cure desolation, to prevent it from affecting anyone else in the
So
long
what,
run,
a desolate vaccine?
sure. For,
I
I don't
suppose
know.
at that point I'd kind of become a valuable commodity. And she's just gonna kind of stroke her chin. Nah. Because then I'd get bought out into servitude, and I'd have to be. I don't want to go back to that. I don't want to be the errand girl again.
Imagine the entire city of Collier not being hated.
Collier is not the city of desolates.
I thought it was. I'm sorry.
No,
Segregate.
segregate
Oh,
is, and
sorry,
it's not
okay.
hated. It's just not really talked about. People don't even actually know if it exists.
Yeah, it's kind of a folk tale thing.
Okay.
I haven't actually found it, and I've been alive for, how old am I?
30-something.
A while.
Unknown.
30-something. You decided. I don't remember what you decided.
Hold on, I've got a thing that has all my stuff that's not filled in.
Her real name is Babuina.
But I mean, how can we make a decision on that level for that portion of the populace? How can we say that an entire group of people would rather continue with their existence as it is and just not be hated, as opposed to having a cure and being able to fit in as they've never been able to do before?
There's also another point that I'll go ahead and mention as Fear to Seal. The problem would almost inevitably arise of you would have to find some way to apply this cure, right? And
Well,
there
yeah,
would probably
it's-
be resistance to that in at least some circles. Not from normal people, quote unquote, from the desolates, people who don't want to be cured, people who don't think they need to be cured,
People like me.
people like
Well,
her.
They don't have to be then.
But that would defeat the point. At that point, you're still hated.
Well, if they want to remain hated, then that's their choice.
Oh, gee, thank you. She actually says that to you.
Out loud?
Yes.
Okay, the golem immediately stomps across the room over after her, reaches down with one giant hand of diamond that's actually bigger than her, and pats her head and says, "You are welcome, little one."
Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god.
And then this diamond slowly solidifies around your head. Now you can't breathe. Now it squishes it, and then you shut up because you can't talk anymore.
Inside their heads, I'm going, oh god, 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 oh god.
And the golem goes back.
Going to my happy place.
Which is apparently an abyss.
The happy place in the abyss.
Yes, the abyss is better than the golem of diamond.
Yep. I'm glad you finally caught on.
Oh my god. Well, I've done a good job of ramping this up.
All right, so we're kind of at odds.
Fear to Seal is also going to point out there's one other thing you guys could ask.
Over odds and character.
It's kind of a. It has the same problems all the other questions do, but you could ask something along the lines of who could cure desolation or who could solve the desolation problem. Because therefore, at that point, the goal would obviously be finding whoever this person is. But once you do, they, according to this thing, already have the capacity to do so. So that would be, yeah. Now, obviously, it has the same problems as your original choice, but I just thought I'd mention it in character because my name's Fear to Seal. The NPC. I can't speak my voice that high, but just imagine I am a deep feminine voice.
You smoked a lot, huh, Fair Seal?
Yes.
So, well, Snark's thoughts.
I don't actually like that question, Fear and Seal.
Why not?
If who already has the capacity to cure desolation,
Why haven't they yet?
Two possibilities immediately leap to mind.
they don't have the resources,
They
or
don't know it.
or the third possibility, they know it and they already are
That's also very true.
selectively.
Yeah, that is also very true.
It's probably the gnome.
It could also be a fourth option. They don't care. Like, they could cure this, and they're just busy with whatever they actually care about, which is not curing desolation. It may have never even crossed their minds to bother. I mean, why care?
No. I still like the how, because that might lead to the answer to the other one anyway.
I've got my answers, all 6 of them,
Oh.
or excuse me, 5 of them. No, 4 of them, ready to go. So,
All right, so we need to come to a consensus. Cure or anti-hatred?
Oh, out of character, I thought we had come to consensus. Are we back
in
out of a
character,
consensus?
you do not have a consensus.
So we need to.
Do I need to figure out a way to make you guys
Now,
agree in character.
Fearness Hill,
Yeah.
we're going to assume this debate's been going on for a while, because it has. Fearness is also going to point out, I really want the desolation problem fixed, too. I mean, I've read a lot of your thoughts, Z. You've shared a lot of things with me. I fully understand just how horrible this thing is, how much it affects people, and I know it's getting worse. And she mentions that with kind of a look at you, because most people aren't actually aware of the fact that desolation is getting worse. Z is.
Oh, yeah.
Z knows that. And so Fearness looks at you and she says, I know it's getting worse. With
I
significance.
know it's getting bigger.
The
I don't
thing
actually
is,
know what's going to happen whenever it stops getting bigger.
Yeah. But the point I wanted to make here is, as much as I would love to solve this problem too, I mean, I could be selfish and ask if I can ask the question, how do I save my people?
Your people are dead.
Exactly.
Is there a way to save dead people?
Yeah.
There is.
Yeah, it's called Phoenix. You've seen it in action, thanks to me. Fearness Hill.
I have.
Yes. Snark
Okay.
remembers this.
Yes.
Now, I'm not going to make that the question, but the point I'm trying to make here, Z, is that we all have things that we'd like to do to help fix this world, and...
Fixing desolation isn't my problem.
Well, no, my actual point is maybe we should try to ask something more immediate.
Well, hey, I just threw it out there as a suggestion because those two weren't thinking anything.
There was this... in the thoughtscape here. You hear crickets. That's actually Guido. Guido is actually thinking about crickets.
So here's a thought. Instead of focusing on desolation, would...
Out of character, I'd like to point out that Guido's the one that brought it up. So I don't know how it ended up on me.
It's all you, Z. It's all you. Go ahead.
I mean, I'll roll with it because Z might have brought it up. She is feeling rather impatient at the moment.
Which is your fault,
Yes,
too.
blame Z. So instead of focusing on the desolation, would... trying to figure out how to word this so it makes sense. This is not out loud.
Nabu Bobaya Bablabade.
No.
Okay.
I'm not a Gungan.
I thought that was Simish.
No.
I was going for Simish, but I'm really bad at it.
Would reviving the psionic people be of benefit?
Oh, God.
Okay. That sounds bad.
Go on.
Can we learn the Phoenix spell? That's the spell that was being used by the Order or whatever it was in
Pinnacle.
yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and say, for all intents and purposes, no.
Damn.
I mean, yes, but it is something that is possible. It would take training and effort and multi-classing and quests to actually learn the spell after you hit the level required to actually be able to cast Phoenix.
You can't just input it into our brain.
No, I'm afraid not. The golem's like, let me impart upon you the knowledge of magic that I do not know.
Ooh! My repeatable daily. I have news on my repeatable daily. I just got mail. My mail says that
It's very hard to read.
I was reading a text that just popped in over it. Expected to arrive on the 15th.
So we won't be here. Okay. Good to know. That means I probably won't be here either. Anyways.
Well, if we're looking
Okay,
for something
so-
more immediate, I'll bring back up the question, just the general. How do we stop Galen and his plan? That's pretty immediate, pretty direct. And unless it's got some built-in thing that prevents it from saying something like that, we get an answer.
I must serve my lord Gerlin, is its response.
Well, that would make sense on how somebody managed to weave one.
Yeah, it would.
Decisions. I think the immediate threat is more important, so my vote is bypass the desolation as much as that
As much
knowledge.
as I'm interested in it, desolation wasn't something that I would have brought up in the first place. But at the same time, the question of how do I stop Garolin?
Well, to do it in more detail, it'd be how do we, stop his little contingency plan, because that's directly related to the psionic stuff.
Right.
Just the contingency plan? The building of the castle? That doesn't make
No,
sense.
that's his
He's
blowing
plan
up the
A.
world. It's plan A.
Okay.
Maybe more
So,
specifically, how we stop that. Maybe not even. Yeah.
how do we stop Gerlin's world-ending scheme?
You're gonna hate me if you ask that question.
I was thinking more along the lines of specifically asking about the. I don't know if there's an official name for it, the Doomsday device. How do we stop that? Because that's his plan.
The plan would be the answer. There's no device.
Okay, the plan.
You want to ask it?
Z?
I still don't like the question, but I can't think of anything else to ask in its place.
So the golem immediately leaps in to respond before you can change your mind.
Okay.
You've taken your hand off the piece. The golem says, "Fortunately, my lord has already ensured that plan cannot come to fruition. Would you like to ask another question?" And he will elaborate. The one piece of the puzzle that is missing from that plan remains underneath your own feet. And the Gold Lord lacks the ability to reach this location without fear.
All right.
Hey guys, any clue why the Gold Lord would be afraid of something? It's probably not the Diamond Golem. He was just making something out of a thing that I've never even heard of. He can de-weave people.
Look, I think that's just his summer home. So.
Any idea why he's afraid of
Here.
here? And I will also at this point bring up that we could go back to asking about the pivot point.
Fulcrum?
Sure.
The fulcrum, that is true. I like how you accurately described what a fulcrum is, but then don't use the word fulcrum. It's really cute.
I couldn't think of the word.
It's the thing that does this! This
The thing that it sits on.
Yeah! Okay, so the elbow of the shadow. To be nice, if you ask where the fulcrum is, I will literally tell you exactly where it is. Where he is, to be more accurate. I know, shocker, right?
So correct me if I'm wrong. Gerlin's entire plan is to defeat the shadows.
Very likely.
Regardless of the effects of what he's doing, it's all about defeating the shadows.
We
Again,
can
they're like-
safely assume that that threat is the reason why he can't make it here. Because that's the only thing that we know of that he is afraid of.
Because he's insane. What else does he have to be afraid of? Insane, in this particular instance, means not afraid of shit.
So he's the Joker. Oh my god, you guys are screwed.
We've been screwed.
He's Emperor Joker. Bonus points if anyone gets the reference.
I admittedly do not.
Emperor Joker was a comic book storyline where the Joker actually got superpowers.
Oh!
Yeah, it was just as bad as it sounds.
So my logic is, if we defeat the shadows, if we defeat the shadows, yeah, if we defeat the shadows, then Garland will be forced to give up on his plan.
You mean
Honestly,
his plan
based-
will have no reason to exist?
Sure, yeah. You know, he'll have to do something other than try and take over the world. I don't know.
He isn't trying to take over the world, he's trying to destroy it.
He does have that
take
summer
over,
home,
destroy.
you know.
Honestly, I don't think there's any way we can say, well, if we do this, then Garen will be okay, or do this, or anything like that.
Galen suddenly walks
I
up
think
and says,
it's-
good job, guys.
I mean,
And
I
gives me a
think-
big old pat on the back.
Yeah.
Now I don't have to destroy the world, thanks!
Awesome. Now I'm going to go back to killing everyone. Bye.
No,
One
I mean,
opponent
good
at a
thought.
time.
I will also point out, even though you're going to hate me for this, that there's a group you know very little about called the Vyotians. All you know about them is they had tremendous levels of influence and infiltration at every single level of government on all 4 nations. And that's all you know.
No, that's the
There's also a
problem.
group called the Pinnacle, which you don't know much about. Blah, 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 blah. And there's a group called the Tumarok.
Yep.
You know plenty about them. I don't know. I've refreshed you guys on the Tumarok many times. Tumaroks, excuse me.
For lack of a better question at the time, I'm Holcomb, I suppose.
I'm inclined to ask about the focal point. The pivot
Guido,
point.
Guido, call it something else. So we've got all 3 of you calling it something separate.
Called it
The
elbow.
obtuse angle.
There you go.
Okay.
Now, Fear to Seal, by the way, will in character agree with this idea, because while she certainly thinks Garland is a problem and he has to deal with right now, she genuinely believes that the shadows, whatever they are the worst thing around. I mean, she's shared her mental and emotional impressions of being in contact with a memory of someone who is nearby, being in contact with a shadow,
Yes.
and it almost overwhelmed her. So she definitely is in favor of anything that can further that ideal.
All right. Blah.
So where is the fulcrum, and how do we defeat him?
We don't get to ask a 2-part question there, I don't think.
You wouldn't. The second part would not be informative. I'm going to tell you that.
Okay. So what? How do we find the fulcrum? How do we want to word this?
Sure.
So I can't.
How do we find the fulcrum? Where do we find the fulcrum? What is the fulcrum?
I think
Of all those
where
that
do we
go-
find the fulcrum would be the best.
Sure.
By the way, brother, remind me to ask you what your ultimate decision on my rubber band theory was.
I used it modified. I can
Excellent.
tell you that right now. Because I had a few other thoughts on that regard. About stuff you don't actually know about.
Of course, because why would they put wood on the ceiling?
That really doesn't make sense. So, what are you guys asking specifically?
Where's the
Word your wish.
Where?
Just where?
Well, I didn't think we could ask more than where.
Well, okay, my point is you've asked where, or where can we find, or how can we find, or what, which is actually a totally different question, really. Who would actually basically be the same as what for all intents and purposes. You could ask when, and then the golem would look at you weird.
When was the fulcrum?
Right
Or
now.
score. And...
The golem just suddenly changes his voice. Oh, God. 7 minutes ago.
Where, I suppose.
I think the best option would be, how do we find the fulcrum?
Well, he said if we asked where, he would give us the exact latitude and longitude location.
I don't mind
Okay.
sharing that adequate. Because again, this is
So
not
we
a
could just say,
Jew
where
situation.
is it? And he would tell us.
But what if we can't? I mean, what if it's on the other continent?
And it's on the other continent.
What if
It's
it's
on the other
not
continent.
on the other continent? Would be my question. You just it's the camera's, yeah, exactly. Can you
We know
imagine
it's on
if
the
it's
other
like,
continent, pretty much. It's either on the other continent or someplace that I can't mention because we don't actually know that yet.
or it could be like on an island somewhere that is not a continent.
That's actually, yeah. Like I said, someplace I can't mention because we don't actually know that yet.
Yeah.
So I go with where.
I don't know anything. Would you like to roll deception against me?
I'm gonna give you 10 seconds to decide.
Where?
Yeah, where?
Going where? All right, let's go with where.
Okay.
Where is the fulcrum?
A big ol' image map of a continent you don't recognize pops up, and it starts to zoom in on the very center of that continent, pretty much dead center, and you start to see things that look familiar. Fiona Seal has actually shared some of these images with you that she saw when she was on the ship as it was going over, so you recognize that this is the dead Aborian continent. The very center of the continent is a stupidly large edifice. It's both wide and tall. It looks ridiculously opulent, completely covered with gemstones, actually crafted in some sections out of gold, silver, platinum, imperial, etc. And then it kind of zooms in, and it kind of passes the walls, and it goes all the way down and down into the depths. Below that, several levels down into the earth, and you see what looks like a laboratory with a single solitary individual. It looks like a kid, maybe 10 years old, just a boy, just kind of sitting there on the ground.
I wish I was
kneeling-
playing Kesrinthka.
Kneeling on the ground, unmoving.
Because I bet I know who that is. If I was Kesrinthka.
And
Can you just say yes or no?
you'll have to clarify with me later, because I'm not actually sure what you're talking about.
Okay.
And with that, and the final question, the image fades away. Snarks.
I'm assuming that came with the latitude and longitude location.
Sure. Yeah. The image just goes away, and the golem waves and says, "Now, there are 2 more things you have to decide. 1, if you wish to live or die."
I'd like to live, please.
I'm kidding.
Trick question.
What it actually says is, "I have a question for you now, I'm afraid, and you must answer honestly." And there's a definite threat in its tone when it says that.
Could you tell if we were lying?
Oh, yes.
Okay. She's just gonna take it on its word. Okay. It's not a trap. This isn't a trap. This is a
Trap
I
is
have
hidden.
a giant spike sitting right in front of you that says "Jump on me."
That's not a
I
trap.
dare
That's a
you.
threat.
Yes, exactly. So the golem says,
All right.
it is 2 questions, though. It is 2 questions. The first is simple. Do you wish to save this world?
Guys, I don't
Yes.
know if this is a trick question or
Yes.
not, but I think it might be a trap. But I think we should say yes anyway.
I already said yes.
Oh, okay. Then Z65.
Everybody said yes, and we turned to Z. Waiting.
Do you say anything, Z?
She nods her head
Okay.
with a very big, forced smile on her face.
So are any of you lying?
No.
No.
This world should burn!
No, the next thing it says is it scrapes some of its diamond hand against its diamond face. And so, it doesn't have a face, it's just a body. And it says, why?
Z is actually going to pop up before anybody else says anything on this one, and she's going to say, because all life on this planet starts off as an innocent, and all innocents deserve the opportunity to make better of themselves than what was made before them. And then she's going to let the other guys answer. She's very serious, and she is not lying.
I was actually going to ask, but I was waiting until everyone was done. Would you like to roll deception? No.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
I am not lying.
Okay.
Yes! Yes!
Now she's lying.
No. I just got
Jenga.
Gutsy!
Jenga on the phone.
You have to like move them out like this, and yeah. Okay, so
That'd actually be a pretty.
Snarg?
He kind of
what?
like he's not about that because like what do you mean why? What do you mean why? Huh? Really confused.
I require an answer of you, young. I'm sorry. What was your real name?
Your original name.
Blade Tooth.
Original name. Excuse me. What was it? Blade Tooth. So he actually says, "I require an answer of you, Blade Tooth."
I'll be honest. I mean, I don't. There's a lot of good people in this world, despite some of the jerks that are, you know.
Who are you gesturing
He's
at
not-
when you
he's not
say
gesturing
that?
He's not gesturing at anyone. He's just pointing over his shoulder. Nothing. So, to be honest, I didn't see a reason not to. It really occurred to me that it shouldn't be.
And the golem noticeably rotates to face Guido.
I cannot in good conscience be judge, jury, and executioner of an entire world. Each would need to determine their own path.
Z does not approve of that answer.
No, I'm annoyed because what I thought came through wasn't what came through.
After considering a moment, the golem says, "Based on your answers, my master has decided you have earned the right to attempt to try. I have 2 more bits of information for you. The field that protects this sanctum from the shadow is maintained by my existence, and an exit has been prepared that you may go to your next destination quickly. But I'm afraid you'll have to earn that exit in blood." And then it attacks.
What was the other bit of information?
It's generating the field, keeping the shadow out.
Oh, so now we know the thing that we didn't know.
Yeah.